One of the most innovative companies in national security is Big Bear AI, but a lot of people have been discouraged around the recent sell-off. If we take a look at our watch list over here, you can see if we go into the companies that are down a little bit today. Big Bear AI, as one of the AI companies that sold off, you can see that it's pushed up from $1 a share up to $10.50. I'm quite bullish on Big Bear in the long term, just to kind of preface. Part of the reason why is their DoD contracts. They got about $160 million in contracts with Army as well. And they have some partnerships in some major airlines. Now, one thing that's been a little bit discouraging around the company's values is, first of all, this big surgence that we saw right here. So this recent surgence that we saw to $10.36 was quite the surge on Big Bear that has a little bit of investors shook after this sell-off. Now, I know there's a large portion of investors that are investing in it, as it's at levels that we've seen it just back in January, so it's not anything that's abruptly less than it was just a few months ago. The year to date is down a little bit, but I will say overall it's doing well. If we go back to when we started covering it here in November, from that point it's 135%. At one point, of course, we saw a 600% increase there. So it's been volatile. And you might say, well, why are we covering Big Bear AI? Well, let's take a look at Big Bear AI. So you can go to Big Bear AI stock. There's been some concerns about their financials as they reported their financials, and they showed this bigger net income as a result of them potentially having this debt that they're holding that they're having to pay off a lot faster. And so they're paying it off faster. You can see they have a net income of negative $108 million. But quarter over quarter, you see that revenue. It is interesting to watch the revenue because quarter one 2024 was 33 million and we've seen it increase up to 43 million. So those are the financials. They've been looking not so good on the net income side, but the revenue increase has been good. They also, if you take a look at this recent pattern, there is this resistance level that it's at that it just got rejected at, which is $3.85. And some people are looking at this and they're saying, you know, this is where we could see Big Bear start to trend. One thing to note is, even though it looks like it's just a support and resistance, and maybe it's about to sell down to this $2.97 price point, the value that we see for the company could make them actually grow bigger faster because of one reason, and that's this break above the 200-day moving average. Technical traders like myself are looking at this and saying, this is a good move. We've seen this recent push up and we're starting to see some momentum. And this swing right here was 33%. So what we're looking at here is a potential reversal. And that's why, you can see the market overall, we had a correction. 10 to 20% is a correction. We're not looking at recession material. And with that being said, if the market's looking like just a correction, then this recovery could make sense. Now, the technicals do indicate slight hold on RSI and MACD, so we don't have a buy or a sell, but it does seem like one we will watch very closely at market open. If you want to join me live, it's the second link in the description. We go live every morning at market open at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. So the second part of the analysis is, or the third part I should say, is going to be their company's valuations. And the valuation, I'm not talking about the financials, although we did see that those need a little bit of work on the net income. But I'm talking about the valuations of their potential here. Their valuations of their stewardship, of their moat, of their partnerships. This new CEO took a pretty substantial initiative to have them in a position to be in swarming drones, in autonomous threat response, to multi-domain situational decision AIs. This CEO in the past, Kevin McAleenan, was acting Secretary of Department of Homeland Security during the first Trump administration. So the reason that's interesting, right? This company, they're Big Bear. I kind of joke, I'm like, it's big brother, right? Because they're connected to every intelligence almost. You see them working with the Pentagon, the U.S. Army. You got, Department of Defense. They're kind of looking like a company. You got Department of Homeland Security, where they're in all these different government spaces, and you ask yourself, wow, it's quite a lot of power for one small little company to have, and that's kind of what I think possibly is gravitating me towards this stock time and time again is essentially the possibility of seeing them have some explosive growth as a result of being in the positions that they are right now. The positions of having the transportation as one of their contracts, the army, the Pentagon, the I can go again. It's like those are the things that those types of multi-year contracts that we've seen them kind of secure recently. Department of Defense right there, U.S. Travel Association. You got Department of Defense there. There's a contract they just won. And you look at the U.S. Department of Navy Seaport, and it just catches your attention, right? I mean, you can't look at the stock and say, yeah, but their net income's down, so it's not a buy. I look at this company and I say, I mean, based on the types of growth we're seeing in revenue and the partnerships that they're strategically placing to be a AI integrated platform for the US government to use, and the types of partnerships they're securing lead me to believe that they're going to have more growth here in the near future. This is like the type of company that is kind of like a Palantir understudy. They're looking at Palantir, they're partnered with Palantir, right? There's more risk here for sure. There's more torque. But if you believe in defense and government and AI and you're looking at this, you believe that those things will see growth here in the near term. And you want to maybe ride the edge early or invest in it at an early time, then this company can make a lot of sense. So that's why we've been covering it pretty extensively. I do see some of the new reporting in earnings, something that you just got to pay attention to. On one hand, you're like, oh, it's great, they're paying off some debt. On the other hand, you're like, ooh, that's not like the hottest net income. When we look at the recovery here that's starting to happen, of course, we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, is it actually what we think? It's starting to break above that 200-day moving average, starting to potentially look a little bit more like a reversal here. There's 3 stages to a reversal. First, you have the trend in one direction, which you could basically map out the lowering support there as well. Then you have a consolidation, and then you have a reversal, in the opposite direction, which in this case, maybe we could see this happen. And of course, it's speculative. It hasn't broken out of that level yet, but it's one that we'll be watching quite closely. As to me, it seems like the upside potential is worth a continued look. I have a long position here at $2.80 that we got into back in, I think it was November. And I've been keeping you guys updated on the position, as well as showing you guys some of the new contracts that are breaking out. Right now, there is, fairly a good amount of momentum. I would say that, we're not delusional about the stock. There are things that you got to worry about, like heavy reliance on government contracts. Is there going to be cutting in the government contract spending for defense? Could they get absolutely outcompeted by Palantir? Because we know Palantir is swooping up a lot of contracts in government. And those are things you got to ask yourself, like the competition, the maybe this looks good for momentum, but for somebody that's, looking to hold like myself, that I'm already holding it, it does, kind of worry you. Like I'm down here at 280. It's not too far off from where it is currently. In fact, we saw it actually reach that level a little while ago. And so what I'll be looking at is to see a break above this $3.80 range. That would give us more indication of a reversal, or at least a swing up into the $3. Let's see, $3.80 range would show us a potential swing to this previous support around $4.50. So that's what I'd be watching. Essentially looking for this previous resistance to act as a support. That would be clear indication of volatility in the bullish favor. Right now, you do have this previous support here There was a previous resistance and a previous support there. Some consolidation did break below that, but that is a level that it's currently at, in which if it holds right here at $3.50, potentially we could see a swing. I could imagine if we see a little bit of a dip tomorrow and market open, that we might play this and possibly look for this swing. That's a 10% swing to that high that we saw today. But if we see a dip down here, that could be a 15% swing if it gets back to those levels, or even down at this level, that's a 28% swing back. So we're going to watch it closely and see if we can see a dip and then possibly confirmation of a reversal, or get you will be identifying the levels at market open to see what happens. If you guys want to watch me trade live, it's that second link in the description. Would love to see you guys there at market open. It's definitely one we'll be watching closely. I do feel that it's one that a lot of people have missed out on and haven't been able to see the opportunities on the way up. And now that it's down here, it's possible it starts to get a little bit more momentum. So we will be watching it closely. So again, it's that second link below. If you want to join us tomorrow live, we have a lot of things happening in StockMate, including a lot of members that are getting some amazing results. We just shared some yesterday, which I was really excited about as well. And thank you guys again for tuning in. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.